All right, let's dive deep into something we all take for granted every single day: water. We're going to unpack a pretty fascinating study that asks a wild question. Can the very structure of water be changed, not just by nature, but by technology?
So this is really the core question that kicks everything off. Can something as abstract as a thought, or something as real as a piece of tech, actually change the physical makeup of H2O? It's a pretty out there idea, and we're about to look at a study that actually tried to test it.
Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the experiment, take a look at this. This beautiful, symmetrical, six-sided structure is what the researchers in this study call a perfect water crystal. This is the gold standard, the ideal form they were hunting for. Keep this image in your head because it's going to be important.
So where did this whole idea of a perfect water crystal even come from? Well, it's all rooted in a pretty famous theory about how water might just be responding to the world around it, all thanks to one particular researcher.
Right, so the person behind all this was Dr. Masaru Emoto. He came up with this really controversial idea that water is way more than just a simple chemical compound. He suggested it's actually a medium that can be physically changed by things like our thoughts and feelings. Now, I have to say, these ideas are not accepted by mainstream science at all. They're often labeled as pseudoscience. But for this explainer, we're just going to focus on understanding the theory and the study it led to.
So here's the theory in a nutshell. He claimed that when you expose water to positive intentions, think words like love and gratitude, and then you freeze it, it forms those amazing complex crystals we just saw. On the flip side, he said that water exposed to negative intentions creates these ugly, distorted, and incomplete shapes. And this chart really spells it out. The theory says positive vibes, whether from clean natural springs or from good thoughts, lead to those symmetrical, perfect crystals. And negative influences, like pollution or angry words, are supposed to result in those random, messy blobs. This visual difference is really the whole foundation of his work.
Okay, so with that theory as our backdrop, how does this connect to modern technology? Well, let's see how the Emoto Institute, which carries on his work, set up an experiment to find out. The goal for this study was really specific. They wanted to test if products from a company called Leela Quantum Tech could affect water in the same way human intention supposedly does. The study doesn't really get into how this quantum technology works, but it's focused on one thing: can it make those beautiful crystals pop up? The experiment was pretty simple. First, step 1, they took a sample of pure distilled water and just left it alone. That's the control. For step 2, they put another sample into something called a Leela Quantum Bottle for 10 minutes. And finally, step 3, they treated a third sample with a different device, a Leela Quantum Bloc, for only 3 minutes.
All right, the experiment's all set up. Now for the part we've all been waiting for. Let's dig into the results and see what this study claims to have found.
First up, our baseline. This is the untreated, plain old distilled water. As you can see, it's kind of a mixed bag of formations. According to the Emoto Institute's analysis, out of all these frozen droplets, they found only one that they considered a beautiful, well-formed crystal. Just one.
Now, check this out. This is the water after it spent 10 minutes in the Leela Quantum Bottle. The study reported a pretty clear change. This sample produced 3 beautiful crystals. So that's a noticeable jump up from the single one in the control group. And here we have the sample that was treated with the Leela Quantum Bloc. And remember, it was only exposed for 3 minutes. But according to the researchers, this is where they saw the most dramatic change. Their analysis found 5 beautiful crystals in this sample. This bar chart really just puts the numbers in plain sight. On the left, you've got the control sample with its 1 beautiful crystal. In the middle, the bottle sample, which produced 3. And all the way on the right, the block sample. After just 3 minutes, cranked out 5, at least according to the Institute's official count.
Let's really hammer this point home. A 5-fold increase. The study is reporting that the number of these beautiful crystals jumped from just 1 to 5 after only 3 minutes with that quantum block. I mean, that's the big, headline-grabbing result from their analysis.
Hiro Emoto, who runs the Institute now, summed it all up with this quote. He said, "The Leela Quantum Bloc improved the energy of water significantly within only 3 minutes. From only 1 beautiful crystal in the control water, the treated water then had 5 beautiful crystals." This really captures the study's official take on what happened.
So we've gone through the theory, the experiment, and the results. But what are the bigger takeaways? What are we supposed to make of all this? Let's get into the implications of what this study is suggesting. So, if we just boil it all down, here are the main takeaways from this particular study.
First, the authors conclude that these tech products seem to be able to influence water's molecular structure. They say both devices showed a positive effect, but that the quantum block was the real heavy hitter, making the biggest change in the fastest time. And at the end of the day, the findings are presented as a modern-day confirmation of Dr. Emoto's original theories.
And that really brings us to our final thought. The study we just walked through makes a pretty remarkable claim. It makes you wonder, right? If it were actually possible for technology to intentionally structure water, what could that mean? What could the potential uses be for our health, for our planet? It's a huge idea to chew on. Thanks for digging into it with us.